Hi guys, welcome back to another Q4FY25 result update video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about three companies. One is Epack Durable, the second is Amber Enterprise, and the third is Virtuoso Optoelectronics. Basically, the entire AC manufacturing space. We will also do a P2P with PGEL, but I will not cover PGEL in detail in this video because we've already done a separate video for PGEL, okay? And we will see, if all these three companies, what is their narrative regarding the FY26 demand? Is it the same as PGL or other AC companies such as Blue Star, Voltus and everything, or is it different? That is one thing. And the second thing, the most important thing we're going to see is PGL this winner in this race in this year also, because in FY24-25 if you see, PGL was leading the race by a huge margin compared to these three companies, right? So are we going to see a similar kind of similar kind of outlook in this year from PGL? Let us see that. Okay, again, before I start the video, if you guys want to understand how to manage the portfolio, how do you cut the stock, how do you generate an alpha, and if you want an example of how I create my portfolio, what is the logic behind it, then get the portfolio analysis workshop. Okay, I'm going to link it in the description as well as in the comment section below. And as you all know, the recording of the workshop, the price of the workshop is going to be increased starting from Sunday. Okay, we are going to bump it up to 12.99 from 9.99. Okay. Anyways, coming first thing first, if you look at the entire AC ka space, we know from Blue Star, Voltus, Symphony, and even PGL to a certain extent, the narrative regarding the AC industry is that the FY26 ka demand is not that strong, right? When I tell the demand is not that strong is because FY24-25 mein we had that El Nino effect, right? Because of which there was all this El Nino ke wajah se we had a very harsh summer, due to which AC ka supply demand mein pura ka pura there was a problem, right? Because the demand was more and the supply was less, which caused a mismatch in the market, increase the price and everything, and we saw very surreal kind of demand over here, right? Usually if you look at the AC industry, it grows by 15 to 20% kind of CAGR, but if you remember in the last year, all the AC players were minimum, they were growing by around 40% kind of growth rate, okay? But this time kya hai, we do not have a very strong summer, we are seeing an early onset of monsoon, so the summer is not that strong, and as a result what we are seeing, the pace of growth for many companies are coming down, okay? So now if you look at Amber, Epack, yeah, Virtuoso Optoelectronics, they are also having the same narrative ki, like AC ka jo hai, don't expect the same. Yeah, see, we are having growth over here, growth ka problem nahi hai yahan pe, they will continue to grow because India is a developing country, obviously earlier people would want to have AC slowly in their house, that is there, but just great say we grew in FY24-25, don't expect that, okay? जो industry का growth rate है, which is 15 to 20%, you can expect a similar kind of growth rate from all of us, या उसे थोड़ा double you can expect for some other company. So this is one narrative, okay? The second thing, what is a very common change you will see across these companies are, earlier if you look at them, they were very focused on ACs, okay? Like ACs में तो बहुत सारा focus था, but now slowly you will see the revenue contribution from AC is coming down, ठीक है? Like for example, अगर मैं Amber का बात करूँ, ठीक है? Amber, if you look at it, Amber का AC का contribution at once upon a time was north of 60. Now if you look, AC का contribution is only 43%. Similarly, if you look at Epack का AC का contribution was north of 75% in that range. This time if you see, AC का contribution is 65%. Talking about Virtuoso Optoelectronics, same story, ठीक है? 80% था at once upon a time, अभी घट के आया है 70%. Now they're telling आगे जाके in the next year it will be 65 to 70. What these people are doing is, because see, AC, like I told you, one of the in this AC industry, April and May are like the best season for ACs, okay? Like obviously summer है. Now अगर यहाँ पे April and May में monsoon आता है, कुछ हो जाता है, then the entire year can be very subdued, ठीक है? Because that is a peak month, वहीं पे 40% का sales होता है, and वहीं पे आपका चला गया तो think about it now. So what they're doing it is, they do not want to depend on the seasonal factor that much, ki like they're slowly depending, reducing their dependency on AC and trying to get more kind of mix that can get a little bit of stability in their revenues. Like if you look at Amber, they're moving towards this electronic division and railway car division. If you look at Epack, they're going into all this, heaters, air fryers, mixer grinders, other kind of electronic appliances. Similarly, if you look at Virtuoso Optoelectronics, other than ACs, they're going for this compressors, refrigerators, freezers, like various other electronic items, जिसमें the margins are at least maybe on the same level as ACs or relatively higher than that of ACs. ठीक है. So this is the second kind of you can tell the a very common thing across the companies. ठीक है. And that also goes to show you कि like how indirectly it also goes to show you कि like why that AC का demand is not that strong this year. Because think about it, if the AC का demand was so strong and if everything is going hunky dory, why would anybody want to reduce their dependency on the product. ठीक है. मतलब जो अच्छा खासा चल रहा है उसको चलने दो ना, मतलब उसमें रुकावट क्यों लाना है. ठीक है. So that is another indirect way of picking up a little bit of Q from the companies. ठीक है. Now अभी company specific बात करते हैं. From Amber Enterprise we will start. अगर आप Amber Enterprise का देखते हो, sales grew 48% year on year, and अगर आप PAT को देखते हो, PAT grew 80%. अगर आप RAC का division बात करते हो, RAC का division grew 46% year on year. For PGEL the RAC grew by 127%. For क्या है वो, for Epack the RAC division grew by 50% year on year. Virtuoso Optoelectronics also I think the total sales से ही आप कुछ ले सकते हो, because उनका 80% to 70 to 80% तो contribution is coming from RAC and RAC components only. But either ways you can see RAC का तो जो pure play है that is mostly PGL, and that is why you see उनका the RAC का growth is also higher. Coming back यहाँ पे Amber Enterprise also, they also told the same thing कि like you can expect a double digit kind of growth from from the AC division, but वही don't expect the same kind of growth like how we saw in last year. April and May, yes, we did expect it. We witnessed a double digit growth, but relatively to last April, was it that great? No. ठीक है. उसका second division है in Amber Enterprise, which is the electronic division, which has been doing very well for them. ठीक है. Because the guidance for this electronic division was 55%. ठीक है. And they grew this electronic division by 77%. And उनका जो they have this 2 JV with Ascent and this Korea Ascent facility and usko joint venture with Korea Circuit. These two is also going well. जो भी उसका capex plant है, they're putting up this huge capex in Hosur. All well, all great. The third division is a railway division. Now this entire year this railway division has been subdued, because अगर आप देखते हो railway division का sales degrew by 6%, and this is a trend that we've seen this entire year, because railways में क्या problem होता है, you are dependent on the government, right? The entire government is what is handling the railway division. Now यहाँ पे any project can get delayed infinitely for it to go live. At the same time also let's say orders मिलने में time हो सकता है. So this is one division that is, although the capex and everything is happening, this due to the contracts and everything it is completely dragging them down. But overall the major contribution for their top line is both RAC का division and उनका electronics division, which वहाँ पे there is absolutely no problem. ठीक है. So that is that about Amber in a very short and sweet way. Now अगर आप Epack के बारे में बात करते हो, Epack grew its sales by 53% on a year-on-year basis, and PAT also grew by around the same range, around like 60% on a year-on-year basis. ठीक है. Now Epack का कहना ये कि like that they are slowly getting the revenue contribution from AC. Like I told you, 80 से 75 से 65 right now. ठीक है. And they are focusing more on appliances like induction, refrigeration, आपका what is that called, जो Kent का आता है, water purifier, vacuum cleaner and all of these things. ठीक है. So they are going into that range, so they can have a little bit of stability in terms of revenue. ठीक है. Other than that, if you look उनका जो capex है, ठीक है, the one capex that they have is their joint venture का capex है in Bhiwadi, which will be commissioned in Q4FY25. Another one is they've got a huge order from this Hisense Energy and Panasonic to manufacture ACs for them. इसका भी उन्होंने एक capex करवाया है, which will also go live somewhere in the by the end of FY26. ठीक है. And उनका capex का guidance is very good. They're spending almost like 450 to 500 crore in terms of capex. So all in all good. ठीक है. यहाँ पर भी all the updates that is there great. And in terms of guidance, if you look at Epack का guidance is to grow by 35%, and EBITDA margins will be somewhere around the same range, like 7.5 to 8%, which is the guidance, which is the EBITDA margin as of now. Because as of now if you see, EBITDA margin is 7.2 and they're guiding for the same only 7.5 plus EBITDA margins. Now you will see with Epack, last time उनका EBITDA margin was 8, this time it is 7.5. little bit EBITDA margins पे थोड़ा सा effect हुआ है, because that is only because of उनका capex. Like I told you, right, उनका भिवाड़ी में एक plant हो रहा है, Sri City in Andhra Pradesh में एक plant हो रहा है, both of which will get commissioned in this year. So because of this plant का खर्चा is upfront, that is why a little bit, वो depreciation cost की वजह से the little bit, वो EBITDA margin this year has been a little bit off, ठीक है. Now the last company we will be doing is Virtuoso Optoelectronics, ठीक है. Now here it is a very interesting company, okay, because it's a very very small company, ठीक है. Like 1000 crore का market cap है इस company का. Majority of the revenue comes from ACs, like I told you 70 to 80% यहाँ पे AC से ही आते हैं. I believe to be specific over here, 75 यहाँ पे AC से ही आता है, ठीक है. Even here also same thing, these people are reducing it from 75 to 65, over the next year, and they want to get into this refrigerator, compressor, freezer का division में, ठीक है. यहाँ पे सिर्फ मैं एक चीज बोलती हूँ जो नेगेटिव है, इज बिकॉज उनका एक क्लाइंट है, आई थिंक हु इज हिज क्लाइंट, वोल्टास इज योर क्लाइंट, एंड वोल्टास कॉन्ट्रीब्यूट्स एसी का बिजनेस का अगर आप बात करते हो, वोल्टास का कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन इज 65% टू द टॉप लाइन, उनका एसी का बिजनेस के लिए. सो ऑन वन क्लाइंट यू हैव सो मच डिपेंडेंसी, एंड इफ टुमारो वोल्टास सीज देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लम और समथिंग, देन ऑब्वियसली यू विल आल्सो बी अफेक्टेड. एंड यू विल आल्सो सी, राइट, वोल्टास का अगर आप कॉल देखते हो, राइट, आई थिंक इट वाज वोल्टास ओनली, राइट, लाइक इन द फर्स्ट हाफ ऑफ द कॉल, द फर्स्ट 10 minutes, Voltas, yeah, I think it was Voltas only, the first 10 minutes of the call this year. He is the only one, I think he's the only promoter, I don't know who it was, the promoter or the CEO of the company, who was very frank. The first 10 minutes of the call, he went ranting about, like, bhai, do not ask me about, this is the only question I get from everybody, like, how is the summer been, and I will tell you the summer is not that great. ये पकड़ के चलो, जो हमारा 15 to 20% का जो AC का growth rate in the industry, we will grow by this rate. Unlike last time, we were growing double the industry ka growth rate. He was very frank about it, explaining what is happening. So if they are only not, a bit negative in terms of, I wouldn't say negative, but more like, if they are only being so open and telling ki, like, we will grow at the same rate as the industry and everything, and if they are the ones contributing 60 to 65% of the top line, kal jaake, let's say this year the demand is not that great, theek hai, and we have already so much we have supplied into the market, right? Because what did all the stockists think ki, like, is baar bhi, summer ka demand will be high, so they stocked up, before this summer ka season came, theek hai. And let's say now the demand is not that great, kya hoga? Prices will come down because demand is less, supply is more, price will come down, channel mein destocking shuru hone lagega. If that happens, obviously now you as a B2B company, theek hai, already to a Voltas or something, you will be more affected over here. So that is a little bit of a point to worry, I can tell. Yahan pe again, it could be and could not be also. That is something to point out over here. Other than that, if you look at it, sales is up by 31% and PAT is up by 40%. मैं ईयर ऑन ईयर का बात कर रही हूँ, एंड इनका गाइडेंस भी था, टू ग्रो बाय 35 to 40% काइंड ऑफ केकार एवरी ईयर, ठीक है. नाउ वन थिंग you'll also, another thing you'll witness about this company is you will see slowly the pace of growth is coming down, which is bound to happen because if you look at Virtuoso Optoelectronics, यहाँ पे क्या प्रॉब्लम है, the base is getting bigger, right? पहले तो हार्डली 400-600 करोड़ का मार्केट कैप था, ठीक है, and obviously at that time it was easier for them to grow it, like 100%, then they became a 50%, now it is a 30% का growth engine. Now as pace of growth has come down for this company, what has happened, earlier it was like a 100% growth engine available at 40p or something. Now it is like a, like a 40% ka growth engine available at 50p. So what you see is, earlier although the the pace of growth was up and the PE was low, now what is happening, growth thoda kam ho raha hai, pace of growth is coming down, at the same time आपका valuation जो है it is becoming expensive and expensive, ठीक है. उसके बाद अगर आप देखते हो, like I told you, इनका if you look at it, the capex का that is there. First of all, they have started, like I told you, right, freezer they want to start, and compressors. Now compressors ka plant that is there, the production has started, and I think yeah, compressor will start in the third quarter FY26, but it will add to the revenue by the end. अगर आप freezer और refrigeration का बात करो, that will be towards the end of FY26, and they have certain backward integrations also they are doing, which will be commissioned by the first quarter of FY26. Along with that, due to the capex that they're doing over here, you should see, उनका जो AC का division है, lighting का division है, water dispenser and everything that is there, the amount of pieces that they're going to do will also increase because of that. ठीक है. इसका अगर मैं सीधा सीधा बोलूं, दे हैव गिवन अ क्लियर कट गाइडेंस की लाइक we will be doing around 900 to 1000 crore. Let's say if the AC ka demand is great, if the summer is a little bit strong, then probably we can do 1000 crore. If it is not that great, agar hum monsoons dekh rahe and everything, then we'll probably do 900 crore plus or minus 100 to hoga hi. So roughly a 30 to 40% का growth engine. FY25 में 700 crores किया, 700 से 900 is a 28% growth engine, 700 से 1000 किया, तो that's around a 40% का growth engine. And they also told अभी का PAT margin is 2.1 and they will reach a PAT margin of 2.5 to 3% by the upcoming year end, that is FY26 का end. And if that is the case, if you're doing a 900 crore at 2.5% PAT margin, then आपका 1 year forward PE होते हैं 44. अगर आप 1000 crore and 3% PAT margin करते हो, then your 1 year forward PE is 33.5. So the best and the worst case scenario अगर आप देखते हो ना, the 1 year forward PE lies between 33.5 to almost 44 PE, and it is a 30% का growth engine. 30 to 30% का growth engine आप बोल सकते हो, minimum 30 to 40% if everything goes well, ठीक है. So that is the thing. Now coming to the final point, who is best over here, ठीक है. Like finally हम करेंगे P2P, let us do, ठीक है. Last year if you look at it, that is FY24-25, if you look at the growth rate of the companies, ठीक है. PGL का growth rate था 77%, Epack का 53, Amber 48, and this Virtuoso Optoelectronics 31%, ठीक है. 77, 50, 40, 48 and 31%. Now what do you see over here? PGL is obviously leading the race, right, in this FY24-25, ठीक है, which is correct, and that is why you see out of all the क्या बोलते हैं, out of all the stocks that are there, PGL also made the more money over here. You can see that, right? Why? Because PGL grew the fastest, right? That is why it made more money to its shareholder. Other companies also made money, but who made most money? PGL. Why? Because it grew the fastest. Now coming to this year, ठीक है, इस साल अगर आप देखते हो गाइडेंस क्या है, PGL का गाइडेंस कितना है on a group revenue 33%, Epack का गाइडेंस कितना है 35%, Amber they are telling double digit growth, so probably they also should do like 30 to 35%. Then you have Virtuoso Optoelectronics that is growing, they are telling 30 to 40%. Now do you see everybody का guidance is in the same range, right? PGL 33, Epack 35, Virtuoso Optoelectronics 30 to 40, ठीक है. Now what is the hope over here? आगे जाके let's see if we will have to see if PGL going forward in Q2 will come and increase the guidance. Okay, if that happens, then yes, probably PGL can lead the race, ठीक है. But one thing do you see over here that is very common over here? Pace of growth has come down for every single body, ठीक है. Whether it is Epack was a 50% growth engine, 35 हो गया. PGL was a 77% का growth engine, अभी 33 हो रहा है. Virtuoso Optoelectronics भी same, ठीक है. Earlier it was 100, फिर 50, फिर 70, अभी 30% का growth engine, ठीक है. And on top of that, what do we see? Everybody is going into some other thing. Now here is the thing, a lot of people might consider here कि like I'll tell you a small mistake that will happen by a lot of shareholders, ठीक है. वो लोग क्या करेंगे? They will see कि like PGL is a 33% का growth engine available at 60 to 65 P, ठीक है, which I think I think that's where the valuation का range lies for PGL. You can cross verify because मैंने तो long time back I did, अभी तो I'm pretty sure इसका market cap थोड़ा correct हुआ है, ठीक है. And they will compare it to the last player over here, which is Virtuoso Optoelectronics, which is like a 30 to 40% का growth engine available at 44 to 31 P, ठीक है. Now what they'll do, they'll be like, अरे I'm getting Virtuoso Optoelectronics, it is very sasta. But here is the thing, ठीक है. You have PGL, which is like a giant over here compared to Virtuoso Optoelectronics, ठीक है. Now if Virtuoso Optoelectronics wants to be the next PGL, ठीक है, how can it be the next PGL? It has to grow faster than the PGL, na. Otherwise, how can you get a PE rating? The only way you have a chance to why would PGL के shareholders would leave PGL and come to Virtuoso Optoelectronics, ठीक है? Because PGL has proved itself over the last 3-4 years कि like the management has walked the talk, everything, corporate governance में कोई issue नहीं है, everything, ठीक है. So there has to be some kind of kick you need to get from Virtuoso Optoelectronics अगर उसको PE rating मिलना चाहिए. How will that happen? When it grows faster than that of PGL. Understand over here, there is a reason why Virtuoso Optoelectronics is cheaper than PGL, because it has never grown faster than the giant over here, ठीक है. अगर आप, how will an ant beat an elephant? The only way an ant beat an elephant is what? Its size, and its size is the reason why it has to grow faster. But over here you're not seeing Virtuoso Optoelectronics growing faster now, because PGL is also like, like a giant growing at 33%, and Virtuoso Optoelectronics is also like a small b in the same space, which is literally like, not even like, hardly not even half the size of PGL, and even that is also growing at 30%. So where is the advantage over here at the end of the day, right? So that is the thing. So it's not like it doesn't have a shot or something, but it needs to prove itself, like it needs to grow a little bit faster, okay? But over here the only thing we'll have to wait and see in the upcoming quarter is, that is in Q1, what would be a game changer would be if PGL comes and it increases its guidance, okay? Like, like how they have done in the last year, right? Every quarter they came and they increased the guidance. We will have to see if it will do that, but I think it could be probably highly unlikely, with the way the entire weather is going on and everything. It's probably unlikely. Even if they do, I think it might not be at the same rate as what they did. Either ways आप देख सकते हो ना, ये पूरा का पूरा space जो है, whatever the momentum in terms of demand was here in FY24-25, it is no longer visible in FY25-26. So जिस rate से वहाँ पे stock का re-rating हुआ था in the year 24-25, whether it is PGL, Epack, Amber or Virtuoso Optoelectronics, do not expect the same time, because PGL was 3x in the last 1 year, ठीक है. अभी क्या होगा, if it can't grow, if it can't increase the guidance, then क्या होगा, वहाँ पे P का re-rating भी नहीं होगा, then it becomes very very difficult, for PGL being a 33% का growth engine at 65 PE, it becomes difficult for it to get P re-rating होना, the way it happened last time. Because last time, if you remember, the start of the year in Q4, like Q4 May, they told ki like they will grow by 35%, but it was a 35% ka growth engine at 35 PE. Now it is a 35% ka growth engine at 65 PE. Understand the difference, ठीक है? So that is why यहाँ पे going forward in this year, PGL का re-rating होना मुश्किल होगा. At the same time, Virtuoso Optoelectronics का PE का re-rating होना मुश्किल क्यों होगा? Because they're not growing faster. They have to grow faster than PGL for it to get PE re-rating. So यहाँ पे और एक मुश्किल आ गई यहाँ पे. And बीच का खेल है तो Epack and Amber Enterprise. Amber Enterprise, so another thing is like uska base bada hai, so obviously it can't beat PGL in the space. It's always been a second or a third player. Epack ka wahi hai, if it can do well, well and good, but again you've seen, right, Epack has not been that much of a consistent player compared to PGL and Amber in the last year. If they can do that, maybe even they'll have a shot in beating PGL, okay? So that is something to wait and watch, I believe. But overall, obviously यहाँ पे जो demand that was there in the last year, main thing is उस demand यहाँ पे नहीं है, and because of that you will see pace of growth for most of the companies has come down, ठीक है? And pace of growth coming down, valuation becoming expensive, that becomes a little bit of to be cautious, to be a bit wary in this space, ठीक है? Unlike the last year, ठीक है? So that's it for today's video. Have a great day all. Bye.